So what is going on YouTube? My name is Mehul and welcome to your 18th Angular tutorial in which we are gonna finish off with our login application, a very basic one implemented using Angular and Angular routing and would be implementing Angular service, right? So what I'm gonna do is hop over to my command line and I'm gonna say ng generate service. Let's just name it user and hit enter. So you can see that it generates a service, but it wants me that the service is generated, but it must be provided to be used, right? So that is okay. So we can go to this user service now and pretty much see that it has got a constructor for now. And what we can do is we can go ahead and say that this is private is user logged in is equal to false, or we can say private or let's just initialize these values in constructor. Let's just say username for now. So we're gonna say is user logged in, or rather this dot is user logged in is equal to false, right? So we can say this as a set user logged in and return this dot, or rather just set this dot is user logged in to true, and we can again set get user logged in and just return this dot is user logged in property, right? So we have got the service. Now what we want to do is go to our app module, and inside here, inside providers, I want to pass in this service as user what we have user service, right? So we can pass in user service in here, and we can import the service as well. So import user service from user service, right? And now if you take a look, then we have our user service available with us inside our whole application. So now what we can do is go to our login component, and we can say that inside constructor we get another dependency which is private user, and we pass this as a user service so that Angular knows. And again we can just import user service from user.service just like that, and it's actually right there, right? Okay, so now we have our user service with us. So what I'm gonna do is pretty much say inside login user, if username is this and this, I'm gonna call user dot set user logged in, which is probably, I think, this dot user, right, was the property name. So if we can just close all of this, right? So we can just open the service, set user logged in is the name. Okay. All right, so I went over and created a service, but don't worry about that. We'll be learning about service in more detail later on, but we just need a very simple service right now. And what the service basically would do is pretty much it would maintain a state for a user so that our application could know that the user is actually logged in, and the service would be same inside all the components if we want to include, so that we can just go ahead and include it in our dashboard component again. So I'm just gonna go with this one and say private user, and this is just a dependency injection to let Angular know that you have to insert this dependency right here, right? So the user service is correct name, and we can just import user service from user.service like that. And then what we can say, now what I'm gonna do next is actually create a guard. So a guard, as the name suggests, actually guards your route. against, unauthorized access in our case. So what this guard would pretty much do is that it would actually create a check before the route actually takes place, right? So if you have done Angular 1 somewhere, then you pretty much know that you used to have results there. We still do have results here, but they are pretty much called as guards right now. So to generate a guard, what we're gonna do is again go back to our terminal, and inside here I'm gonna write ng generate guard, and let's just say auth guard, we name it. Right, so again, I'm not gonna go a lot into details into guards right now. We're gonna cover that as a separate topic, but since we need it for our login applications, so I'm just gonna quickly go through over it. So if we take a look at what Angular has generated for us, is this auth guard file, right? So it automatically implements this can activate method, which is actually fired before our route transition takes place, right? So if can activate returns false for our route, then the route would be stopped. So that's pretty much what's left for us to implement. And before implementing that, what I want to do is actually finally go to our routes, which is in our app module. And right with the dashboard, I want to say can activate is another property, and I want to pass it with the auth guard. Is that what we have? Auth guard. Okay, so I added this guard, but anyways, let's just go with that only now. So this is auth guard, and I can just import the same thing from auth guard like that, and we can just put a comma in there. So now we are ready to rock and roll into our auth guard, and inside its definition, what I'm gonna say is that actually it implements a lot of stuff, so that we can implement one more thing, and that would be our private user, which is user session. One last time, or is that what we named it? User service, right? So we can now just import user service from user.service. I guess that's what it was, right? So now what we can say, or rather not this one, not like that. We have to do that inside our constructor like that. And now we can pretty much access return this dot user dot inside our user service. We can say get user logged in, right? Okay, so now if we see our app, we can pretty much try to go to dashboard, and you would see that we get an error. So we have to add this provider into provider as well, and there we go. So if we now try to go into dashboard, you would see pretty much that we got nothing, and instead we are not shown anything because our route is actually cancelled right from the auth guard. So when it returns false, it pretty much cancels our route. So if I try to reload the app and I do like admin and hit login, you can see that we get you are authenticated. Go back, and if we try to pretty much reload this app and again go to dashboard, you would see that it does not work. It throws us back to the previous page because of this guard implemented. So that is how pretty much we can create a very basic application, a login application with Angular. And yeah, so that's all for this one, and you would find all the code in the description. And we're gonna implement, or we're gonna discuss about services and guards later on in depth in this Angular series. So don't worry about that if you do not even, you know, if you have if you're like confused that what guard is used for, what services are used for, then don't worry about that. We're gonna again take a deeper look into that later on in the service. So that's all for this one, and if you liked it, then please don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you then in the next one.